Hey everybody, I think we are live. How's everybody doing? So good to see everybody. We made it to yet another Wednesday. So hey my guest, how you doing? Good to see you. Hi Colette, how are you? John, great to see you. So week going okay, doing the work, working hard. Yesterday I was a little tired, so I slept in today a little bit. That felt good, but back up early tomorrow, that's for sure. So John, how's it going all the way from Wisconsin? Hey Zeus, how you doing? Great to see you. What a pleasure to see everybody so far. So this is really great. I'm so happy everybody made it. So that makes me really happy. So very excited to see you. So right now we're working on part 8, believe it or not, and that is really cool. We're getting to the end of it, end of this painting or the completion of this painting, which is, really quite exciting. And thank you everyone who has come every single week to watch. I mean, it's been really fantastic. So I really, really appreciate that with everybody. So let's see what everyone is saying so far. Oh, thank you, Colette. I appreciate that. Oh, John, you're feeling crappy. So you're not feeling too well, sir? Um, hey, Paul, how you doing? Good to see you, Paul. So glad you're here. So that is really great. So I'm so glad you made it, sir. And let's see who else. So some news of the channel. We hit 3,903 subscribers. So we're only 97 away from 4,000. Not a very big number, but for our channel, it is a big number. 4,000 subscribers. I mean, that's pretty neat. You don't think 4,000 is a lot, but put 4,000 people on your street, and that's a lot of people. So it is a lot of people, So that's cool. And oh, thank you, Jesus. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited about it. I started this channel, Painted Glyphs, back in 2008. I think it was this month in 2008 I actually started this channel. Anyone out there thinking of doing a YouTube channel? I would love to hear your thoughts. If you would, that would be great. Oh, my guest says, how long have I had my classes up and running? Well, I did classes in my studio. Like I started around 2012. I started doing classes in my studio. Then started doing classes online around 2018. So it's been 4 years. So yeah, 4 really good years. Teaching you all. Mr. Todd, how are you? Good to see you, sir. So glad you're here. I have my lemonade. This is the healthy choice or something lemonade, 5 calories, so that's really good. Oh, the YouTube channel classes, 2018, Mike. Yeah, the end of 2018. Just before the lockdown, I had classes for like a year and a half, and then lockdown happened, things kind of ramped up. I got a lot more international subscribers and international students, which was really fantastic. I really very happy about that. So tonight we're always going to start with the detail mixture, and we're just going to hit the ground running. So I don't usually go with this airbrush with the detail mixture, so let me go ahead and get my Xtreme Patriot arrow out. Patty, how are you? Great to see you. How you doing? And let's see. Oh, Oh, great. That would have been fantastic. Never too late, Mike, that's for sure. So I have my Xtreme Patriot arrow, and this is definitely the only airbrush I use on a daily basis. This one and the Xtreme Patriot 105, you know, customized, of course. So great to see Patty. How cool is that? And so let me find my detail mix. Remember, if you can't find it, it's behind something. And if it's not behind something, it's underneath something. That's one of Tim's rules of thumb. Ow. And don't, they're sharp. They're razor sharp. So I'm going to do 4 drops of detail mixture. And then I'm going to do 3 drops of water as soon as I locate it. Let's see. If you were water, where would you be? Let's see. Where? Oh, here we go. Behind something. How about that? And Jesus says, Tim, little Sergio wants you to give. Oh, Sergio! Great to see you, my friend. Sergio is a great guy. He's an amazing, amazing kid. So I just want to give a shout out to Sergio. He's the coolest. Everyone knows that. And if you don't know him, that's one cool kid right there. And oh, Paul says he's loving the airbrush. He's one of the owners of my Xtreme Patriot arrow. Thank you so much, Paul. That means the world to me. Omas, how you doing? Good to see you. And let's see. And Mike says, I like your bottom. And Patty says, the last place you put it. Exactly. But then again, that's not true because the cat could actually hit it. When I'm sleeping, she goes around and messes things up. Raul, how you doing? Good to see you, Raul. And Jesus, oh, so great. Ah, that's cool. Sergio, you rock. So that's great. Okay, so let's see. We have, and Omas, you are from Berlin, correct, if I'm not mistaken? And, oh, let me go to my Pure Ref and bring up Malia. Where are you, Malia? There you are. Let me bring her over. Okay, and rather than jump right in, I'm just going to really... rather than jumping in, I'm just going to really, you know, process what's going on and figure out what I'm going to do. And oh, cool! Jesus is congrating Paul on the Xtreme Patriot arrow. So cool! So great to see you, Raul. Raul's a fellow Jersey guy. Oh, yes. So I got that right, Omas, right? Not bad, right? My memory's getting better with all you guys and where you're from. So right now I'm doing those frown lines on her. Very, very important. Oh, thank you. Patty also said the Xtreme Patriot arrow is awesome. Well worth the investment. Thanks, Patty. It's nothing like a happy customer, you know? And, you know, I definitely take my time when I make them. I test them redundantly. I test the air valve inside here. I test the for any air leaks throughout, and even down to the 1/8 adapter. I test that out before I actually put it on there, because you don't want any surprises when you get the airbrush. You just want to hit the ground running, you know. Aw, thanks, Patty. Jesus says, yes, one of these days you got to get one. You will love it, my friend. I promise. It will definitely become your go-to airbrush. You know why? Because if anything, if you drop the airbrush and the nozzle breaks, you're at $11, right? If you have an Iwata, you drop it and the nozzle breaks, you're out $55, maybe $60. So I like that the best. So Mike says, Tim, why do all your art subjects have frown lines? None of them have huge smiles. Very interesting. Yeah, that's a. I don't know. I think when we're by ourselves, and if you ever watch people on the train like commuting, and I commuted for years, and when people are alone in their thoughts, they rarely smile, and that's when they're most relaxed, right? So maybe that's it. Maybe it's sort of the candid quality of that attracts me when I'm doing portraits, because it's real, it's visceral. It's someone not trying to be something they're not. Not that smiling and happy is not being who you are, but a lot of times people are pretending to be happy and they're not. Wendy, good to see you. How are you? So glad you're here. That's so great. And we're just going to make things a little darker while putting down a little more texture. So you see how the texture and building it up goes hand in hand. And again, I'm not thinking about finishing this at all. I'm just thinking about working it. I think I'll get beat up if I do that, Mike. I don't want to get beat up. There we go. That cast shadow, just making that a little stronger. There we go. And so as you see, I'm just basically just moving around a lot, trying to make things darker and just more defined as I go. Of course, where it needs to be more defined, right? That's the thing. And yes, two black eyes is right. That I would. Oh, I'm so sorry, Wendy. Praying your migraines go away. So sorry to hear that. Okay, cool. So glad you're here, Wendy. Okay. Are you guys able to see everything clearly enough? I don't think so. Let me see if I could move the camera just a little bit like this. Uh-oh. So I think it unplugged. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. We are back. And let's focus her again. There we go. That's a little better. You guys can see a little better. That's important to me. Hey, Mr. Leahy, how's it going? Good to see you, sir. Are you back from your trip? And I can see that her eyebrow is much more defined. So let's go ahead and see if we could make that happen. Much darker. And even though I'm in a detail mixture, I can really do something with that. So let's see. Oh, thanks, Jesus. On the Zoom. See that? We could really come in there, get some of those individual hairs. One second rule is so important, okay? Remember that, everybody. Put in some of these beautiful eyelashes. Just a series of little baby dagger strokes. See that? Ta-da! Now the trick with doing tight detail is not to stay in that area too long. Hit and move, right? Hit and move. That's the way to do it. There we go. And you can even go in and start defining some of these lights here, which is good. And let's see, a couple of, look at the detail that you can get with a $149 airbrush. A $149 airbrush, it's a 0.30, mind you. So think about that. $149, and it gets this kind of detail. So, you know, you don't got to buy into the fact that if it's if an airbrush is a 0.818 or a 0.15, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. What you want is that the needle is centered inside the nozzle. It has a good needle packing, and also, you know, you have good control of the air being the pack valve. So all those things, access to the needle, all those different things, making sure that the air valve is tight and assembled correctly. All those different things are so, so important, you know? Ah, Patty says, great customer service. Very cool. I'm hoping everything works out in Massachusetts, sir. Putting some definition. There we go. Very happy with that. Let's darken this. So the first couple of minutes are always warm up when it comes to the airbrush. For the first time during the when you first start painting. Just because you have an aggressive eraser can't mean you have to be aggressive. You can be very gentle. See that? You can be super gentle. There you go. Look how beautiful and gentle that is. There we go. And let's move on over. Hey David, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you so much, sir. As Jim Carrey said, no, Drew Carey says, Cleveland rocks, right? Actually, I love that show, the Drew Carey show. Did you guys like that show? That's like a sleeper show. I really thought that was a lot of fun. Let's move this over. Okay, some individual hairs time. The important thing when you're doing individual hairs is just make sure you have a direction, okay? The direction is crucial when painting individual hairs. There we go. The eyebrows are so important when it comes to emotion on a person's face. So definitely study the eyebrows, how to paint them, what direction they go in the hairs. It really will pay dividends. Cool. Okay. Pretty soon I'm going to be coming in with the light mixture in just a few moments. Patty, have a great night. Always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much for your great comments. I really appreciate that. And let's see here. We'll just move down. Okay, let's zoom out. There we go. So I'm happy with the way the emotion is starting to come together. But knowing now that I darkened that, so I definitely have to darken a little bit under her nostril, under her nose. Remember, just because you have a value in the edges means you're done. It doesn't, because now you have to do the values inside the values. I know that sounds really crazy, but it's true. And master your different distances, okay? That's so important. And let's try and let's work on those lips. Let's give them some definition, okay, everybody? Let's do that. We have the detail mixture, so we can go back in there. Let's go even further, right? Let's even closer. Now, can we focus this better? I think so. Let's see. Okay, there we go. And let's see what we can do. So. Just get in there, and you'll see when we zoom out, that really does give a nice feeling of dimension to the lips. And we may have to go over that just a little bit. That might have been a little too strong. Let's see. But when we darken what's around it, it should be okay. I think we can darken some things around that. And let's do the under part of her center of her nose. I believe that's called the septum. I think we may have to enlarge this part over here. I think her mouth is a little larger, so I'm going to be looking into that. Okay, let's see what I missed. And take care there, Jesus and Sergio. Great to see you guys both. And I hope you both have a great night. See you Friday, Jesus. Oh, thank you, Mr. Steve. Steve said he liked the highlights on the lips. I appreciate that, sir. Very, very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And so we're just going to continue. I think I may be a little small on her lips here. So I'm just going to extend the size a little bit. Now it does go against the initial drawing that I had, but that's when, you know, you have to make those decisions every now and then. Just to see, just to make sure that it looks good to you, right? That's the thing, you know, you're the boss, and, you know, as far as like big things like the size of the lips, you know, I know the size of the lips, that was a little too small. And thank you so much, Steve, about the highlights. I was worried about them, but I really appreciate that so much, sir. Thank you for that vote of confidence. I think I'm just a little off on the side of her lips. And let's go and get this dark here. Okay, so now we have a little, I think the shadow is a little bit deeper in the reference. So let me go ahead and just make that a little bit deeper. And then I have to soften this up here. And maybe extend that out a little bit, but we'll see. Let's see if I'm going to blow some air on that just to make sure it's nice and dry. And then I'm going to take one of my least aggressive erasers, and I'm just going to calm that down a little bit. Okay, and let's see. Oh, I'm sorry you're having trouble with your hand there, Mr. Airtod. And oh, how cool! So Steve says that the word septum comes from the word fence in Latin. How cool! It kind of looks like a fence, doesn't it? That's a great little tidbit of information. Especially since we're always painting people. Anything like that is really cool. Let's see if I can calm this down just a tad. Yeah, I'm happy about that. I think it was a little ardent over there. Okay. Over here we have a little bit of an indentation. So I'm going to increase my distance because I want to be very light and subtle, and I can't do that from a close distance. I can only do that from a further distance. And I'm just going to make sure that there we go. And okay, so right here I'm going to get my freehand shield, and I want to hit this, and I'm going to, of course, go perpendicular and not parallel. See, I just wanted to hit that a little stronger, and then right here I'm just going to be, this is where you, this is the exception to the rule where you would go parallel, just where I did that. Okay, I hope that helps. So there's an exception to every rule out there. Okay, so we'll zoom out and see where we are. Where am I, right? Okay, so there we are. So I think everything is good. I think there might be too much light here, but let's not get let me not get hung up in a certain area. So I'm actually going to start working on these hands a little bit, just to work on some of the blurriness and some of the weird detail. But as long as we paint what we see and not what we see fingers when we're doing that, but it's really not. It's just values with very soft edges, you know? Oh, thanks, Colette. Colette said everyone hit the like button. I appreciate that. Oh, thanks, Wendy. Wendy says I'm the lip master. That is so sweet. And so that's really cool. And yeah, me too, Steve. I hope that Mr. Todd feels better with his hand. You need your hands. You're an artist there, Mr. Todd. So, praying that your hands feel better. God can do anything. He can make your hands feel better. And once again, I'm just going to come in here with the, and start painting the hands, or, you know, how the hands are really portrayed here, which is very abstract. See how it gets so thin over here. It's really weird, right? Just the way that the camera and the aperture kind of mess things up, you know, as far as the original image of her hand. But just got to calm this edge down. Super soft. There are some hard edges, and that's the secret, right? To find the hard edges, or the edges that are a little bit harder, and that's going to help. Because if anything is too soft edge, it's just not going to work. But if you find the harder edges along there, then it really could make things look a little bit better. And let's see. Oh, thank you. Wendy says she loves the blur, you know, the bouquet or the bokeh, depending on, you know, how you say it. how we want to say it. Over here, we gonna darken that up. And then this is super dark. So I have my other airbrush, and we're gonna put the light mixture in it. So we have detail, and then from detail we go to light mixture, right? So that's important. So let's go and make that happen. So the next airbrush that I have is another airbrush that I customize. And this is the Xtreme Patriot 105. It's exactly the same inside. Has the wonderful pack valve, the .30 needle nozzle. The needle comes out the same distance, which gives you more detail. But you have a larger cup, which is, quite nice to have that larger cup, especially if you're doing, let's say, backgrounds and stuff like that. And it's perfect second airbrush, right? Perfect 1-2 punch, I think. And my guest says, Tim, that blurry hand makes my eyes and head hurt trying to focus on it. Sorry about that, my friend. Hopefully that means I'm successful in some way in this painting, so I appreciate that. But not the fact that it makes your head hurt. That's not good. Okay, let's calibrate this. Okay. Okay, we are let go. Always go ahead and when you start any airbrush for the first time, always work on the side. Make sure that it's working properly. Okay. We cool, as John Travolta would say from Pulp Fiction. Okay, so now I have the light mixture, which is significantly darker. And I'm just going to pretty much just work around. Not trying to make everything happen at once. Give it time. Let things cook, right? It's important to let things cook. It sure is. And, with your own artwork, don't worry about rushing, No worries. Just enjoy the process, Sit back, relax. Do the 1 second rule, try your best, but the most important thing is to just take it easy and enjoy the fact that, you're doing what you love, and only a small percentage of the people on earth can do is take this crazy machine and make something out of it, right? Oh, thank you, Mike. Mike says that I do great lifts. I appreciate that. Really, thank you. When I first came into... Hey, Marshall, how you doing? I didn't see you there. How's everything? So glad you can make it, Marshall. So, how's your week been, my friend? Sorry I didn't see you. Really kind of weird little strange contours, but I'm not thinking hand here. I'm just thinking abstract shapes, right? That's what I'm thinking. Not thinking hand. Abstract shapes. If I think of hand, what's going to happen? We're going to say, oh, there should be fingernails, and we'll put that in, or something like that. So that really is important not to get caught up in that you're painting the hand, okay? It's going to help a lot, really is. Mike S says, did I give up all the high dollar airbrushes including? I did. I sold them all, my friend. Yeah, once I realized that, Badger was, less expensive, and that I could customize it and make it do what I want to do. Only for me, it was a no-brainer. So when I needed money and I was sitting on all those custom microns, it was like, they gotta go, you know. So I sold them. Good thing is DIYers have a great resale value, and people know me on the internet, so they sold like within hours. And I was happy to sell them because I don't need them anymore. And I'm glad they found good homes. People love them. It's just for me, if I have these two airbrushes and they do 90% of the work, I don't need airbrushes sitting in the, looking pretty in my studio. They need to be going to someone who would like to use them. Iwata fans. And hey, Brad, how you doing? How much snow do you got today? Brad's in Manitoba and they're being pounded right now. Just darkening the nostrils a little tiny bit. There we go. Very cool. Okay, so I'm very happy with things so far. And yes, things are going slow, but better slow and correct than fast and crazy, right? So slow and correct is always better. Let's go back to our detail mix. Put this over here. And it's kind of fun doing something as abstract as this, you know? Uh, yes, Badger, the parts are so inexpensive. It's so true. Like I was telling, I think Jesus earlier, if you drop your airbrush, which I do it a lot, your nozzle costs you like $11 with Badger. But other brands, that's like $50. That's not including shipping and handling. So that's $60, $70. That's a swift kick in the pants. So someone like me who's kind of up against it financially most of the time, uh, hopefully that will change. But right now I'm always up against it financially, and I wouldn't be able to afford it. So a lot of people would say, so Tim, what airbrushes do you have? And I would be like, well, ask me what airbrushes are operational. And it was true, I couldn't afford to keep them operational because, one needed a head assembly. Head assembly is like $150. That's back in 2018. So, it was rough. It was rough for someone like me to try and keep them going, trying to keep me going. Let's do a hard edge here. Perpendicular, not parallel. Make sure you dry your freehand shield because ink or paint, whatever you're working with, is going to accumulate, right? So and let's see. Mike says, hope the kick's on the back side of the pants. That's funny. Brad says he thinks there's about a foot of snow out there so far. It's supposed to keep on snowing till tomorrow. All the highways are closed. And he's off from driving bus till Monday. How cool is that? And that is so neat. Yeah, so snowstorms are great if you're snowed in with somebody special. Some of my fondest memories of my life are being snowed in with somebody special. That hasn't happened in a while. But those are my fondest memories. And okay, so let's do a little, oh, I think this is light mixture time right here. There we go. See that beautiful hard edge? And I think I see a little hard edge right there, but I do see it, but I don't think it works, so I'm not going to put it in. There we go. And little by little, she's coming. Little bit of a hard edge right inside the softness. So the hard edge I'm going to do from a distance. So you see there's a little bit of hard edge there. So that's what I'm saying. You know, when you see something very soft edge, look for the hard edges, because that's going to keep it interesting. If I did the whole thing, you know, really soft edged, I think it would kind of fall apart. So we have to look for those hard edges. And when you're looking for you're looking for that edge, right, to help you, just keep moving your freehand shield around. There we go. So got it. And then right here, again, here's a part where parallel and perpendicular, the rules kind of bend there. And let's see what I missed. And Brad says he got rid of most of the herd of his cattle before it hit, so you don't worry about the little calves getting buried. Wow, that's cool. Just in time. Yeah, congratulations on your sale there. That's amazing. Oh, I didn't even ask. How's the picture and sound quality today? Is the sound okay? I have my mic pretty far away. Wow, 27 calves from that. That's a terrible thing. So the trick to doing a long line like that, when you have, you know, the fortitude, you have to be fast, right? When you see those airbrush artists who, like Kent Lind, who do the t-shirts, they're fast. And that's how you get those lines, by being fast. You can't go slow. You got to be like really quick. So I'm just alternating some soft and hard edges. Not arbitrarily, mind you, but just really seeing where I can hit some hard edges that are there. And remember, you're always covering up what you don't want to spray, right? And let's make this happen. Little hard edge right there. See, you have to vary those edges. It's going to make a big difference. If everything's soft edge, it's not going to work as well. There we go. Let's move this up. Okay, let's add some Blackbeard wheat, shall we? Wendy, have a great night. Thanks so much for coming by. It's wonderful to see you. Thank you so much, Brad. And Mike S says, you're a little off. You sound a lot like that Timothy John Smith guy. But I'm sure you'll get that connected soon. That's funny. Brad says, here in Manitoba, we're used to the weather like this, Mike. Okay, and so that's cool. Thanks, Wendy, for coming by. Such a pleasure, as always. Oh, I don't see Nameless Subscriber here tonight. I hope he's well. A couple of regulars haven't been around last couple of weeks. Willie hasn't been around of late this week. So I don't know. I hope everyone's doing okay. That's most important. There we go. And we'll just pull this down. And a little bit darker up here. There we go. I think I'm happy with the emotion that I'm achieving, but I'm not going to be worrying it too much because that only comes at the very, very end. But if I see something's a little too strong, I may calm it down, like right here. And take care, Steve. Always a pleasure. I hope you get back to Wisconsin or Ohio soon. Ohio. I hope you get back to your studio soon, and give my regards to your family. I hope they're all very, very happy and well. Oh, most are still on spring break. Well, that's cool. And a little more of this Blackbeard wheat action right here. Let's make this happen. See that? Just gives a little bit of an organic hair texture. And that's what you want. Nothing crazy. Just a little bit of organic hair texture. And every little bit helps. One second rule. Be careful to make sure we get that. Let's zoom in and let's do another layer of dark on her eyes and bring that closer. Get the right button here. Let's see. Come up to the eyes. And that's what we do. We just keep darkening until we get to where we want to be, and that's the end of the painting. Remember, an eye is always a circle in perspective, so it's not necessarily a straight circle. Since it's in perspective, it's not going to be completely round like a circle. Going to be irregular. Now this light mixture is pretty dark, so we have to be a little careful. And let's move on over to the other eye. we go. She has very deep set eyes, so I want to definitely show that. I'm going to go back. See, it's nice to have that two airbrush method now. So I can go from the detail mixture to the light mixture. I can do tight detail inside that eye. Okay, let's see what I missed. Oh, Marshall. Marshall has a question. Just wondering when you started making art and selling it, can you speak about how you began to identify your target market? Really great. Marshall, that's a really astute question, and I think that's great. So, going to art school and everything, I had this attitude where I was a fine artist and I don't want to prostitute my work. Disney tried hiring me when I was a young man and I turned them down actually 3 times. I was like, no, but then you get hungry, literally hungry. And so what I did was, I started doing commissioned portraits, and that was something that I began. So that got my feet wet with making people happy. And because I already was painting portraits most of my life, or half my life at that point, and I was in my 20s when I really started doing stuff like that. I wasn't fit for illustration, doing advertising and stuff. That wasn't my bag. So portraits seemed pretty good. And then came eBay in 2000 and eBay came in 1999. Somebody was telling me that they bought stuff at the dollar store on eBay and then resold it. And they would make like $30, $40 a week. And I'm like, that's really cool, right? So I started doing that. I started just buying stuff at the dollar store, reselling. I was making like $50 a week, which was great. I had a full-time job. It was just like beer money or whatever. And then I said, what if I did a portrait? And I'm one of the first people who sold a portrait on eBay. So in 1999, I had my first couple of commissions, portraits on eBay, and it was great. I mean, they were happy. I was happy. I got a good price for them. So I did that as a second income. And then what I started doing was fan art on eBay. So I started doing portraits of celebrities, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Shakira, stuff like that. And I was bringing in quite a lot of money. My ex-wife was a student of mine. I taught her, and she did really great. And at the time, I was selling my work, my fan art, and she was selling her fan art. And so 2 things. We made money, and we were able to hone our craft, right? Or really work on our craft and work on my craft. And we got better at technique and everything like that. We since divorced, so I kept doing what I do, right? So I still kept selling my stuff on eBay. And then around 2008, before I 2008, before I was divorced, I started this YouTube channel. And the YouTube channel is really good because it brought a lot of like-minded people, and jobs came my way. And then I was working at Amazon for a while, so I stopped eBay as a, you know, a regular thing. And I also stopped YouTube as a regular thing. So around 2017, my job at Amazon went away. My division closed down. So I was stuck with a severance. And I was like, why don't I do this full time? And started doing portraits and started this channel. Went into Airbrush. And then 2018, I started doing classes. So the I know that's a long-winded question, a long-winded answer, but the thing is hone your craft and you'll find, where you fit as far as monetarily. And, always look for different streams of income. What I recommend for fledgling artists or artists who are mid-level or even advanced level is always to start your YouTube channel. Because think about it, you know a lot more than many people. So why not do that, right? Why not, get your work out there? There's no better way to get your work out there than social media right now. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I mean, that is much better than the gallery system. Gallery system, you see, the galleries are going away. In New York City, all the galleries are out of business because artists don't need them anymore. And so they're in big trouble. So artists like myself have taken things in their own hands, started teaching, started selling their work online, started doing tutorials. There's so much, Marshall, and I really think that, but you have to start in the beginning, right? You have to start honing your craft, right? Perfecting your craft and practicing, and you'll find your market. But the thing is, while you're doing that, definitely start a YouTube channel. That's really going to help. Even if you don't want to talk on YouTube and you just do progression animations, that would work as well. I have to say, I have limited success, but YouTube has been a pinnacle component of my success, everybody. Literally. I mean, it's just amazing how important YouTube continues to be. That's where I find you guys, right? And that's true. You can always do that. Oh, and thanks for that point there, Mike. Definitely. So Brad says he's going to be doing both, having the physical art hanging in the gallery while I advertise it online. Definitely do both, but think of galleries as vanity. They're really not going to help. And I wish they did. So galleries they're not gonna put any money in your pocket. If they do, it's very limited. So I would say put your money into online, build a better website, get a great website, build that, learn how to do that, learn how to do YouTube videos. Crucial stuff. You have to be everything. You have to be your PR person. You have to be your copywriter, everything. And Marshall says that's where he's at, not as confident. He's still new and learning both the skills and the business side of things. So that's great. So get out there, right? In the sense, do your artwork, get better, but definitely people want to see your work. People want to see you while you're working. So definitely try and get the nerve to do YouTube videos. If you're serious about selling your work and making a fairly good income eventually. Not right now. I mean, I'm not there yet, but you want to build and have several streams of income. So you can do that by having YouTube videos. Um, Live streaming is hard. If you notice, not many people live stream, even in the airbrush world. There's a few, but it will eat you up alive. There's a lot of technical issues with live streaming that really trips people up. I'm the kind of person who likes doing the difficult things, so that's why I really went into live streaming. Plus, it's a great way to get to know everybody in a much stronger way. And so you see, we're going to have to come back in with the white again, but that's okay. We keep working it back and forth, okay? And I will be right back, everybody. Hold that thought. So another important aspect when trying to see where your market is to diversify, and that means going ahead and maybe getting into portrait photography or other ways to make a living doing the creative thing. There's a lot of people go into doing T-shirts. A lot of people go into doing mugs and hats and portrait photography, which I'm exploring right now. So you have to realize, to make money and to survive as an artist, you can't have one stream of income. The artist, smoking the cigar or the cigarette, in the cafe, thinking about his new painting, that doesn't exist anymore. So you have to make sure that you teach, make sure that you sell your work, make sure you do portrait commissions, sell your work on eBay, sell your work on Etsy, sell your work on your website, sell products. You have to, if you're going to survive, you must diversify. Diversify or die, financially. So I'm still learning that, and that's so important. Let's see. So Marshall says he's still trying to get the equipment together so I can begin uploading videos. It's happening in phases so far. Okay, great to hear it. My guest says easy video downloader Express is his name. Very cool. Thanks there, Mike. And Marshall says, Brad, you have had much success. Have you had much success with galleries? And Marshall says, it seems like Airbrush community is pretty small in regards to the live streaming, but I hope to join in and have a positive effect. Yeah, if you have any questions, always feel free to ask me. I can definitely turn you on to some really good video channels that will help. And let's see. Oh, no, that's great. Thanks, Mike. Not at all. That's a good thing. That's helpful. I want people able to watch the videos offline, definitely. Whatever helps them, right? So thanks for that ad there, Mike. I appreciate that. Very good comments tonight. And let's see over here. I'm going to go back to the detail mixture. And it's very light here. So I'm going to be pretty far away. Maybe about 4 inches. And I'm just going to very lightly create a little interest here in the frown line. So if I'm further away, my cone is going to be bigger, so the ink droplets are going to be further apart, and therefore it's lighter. So airbrushing is really science. Once you get that down, things are going to get a lot easier. Once you realize, and that's what I teach in my class. I don't teach, hey, you're just going to have to get better and you're just going to have to practice. No, I teach the science of airbrush. I mean, there is a strict scientific method of getting control. And my students learn that. Okay, that's a little strong. I'm going to calm that down when I come back. And so Brad says he just got paid $200 for displaying his art. How great. My guest says he was thinking of taking some of his art to weekend swap meet. Oh, definitely. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? That's cool. Marshall says he's very much appreciate you guys' help. I think these are important conversations. Yes. Now, to get your feet wet, I definitely recommend contacting your local chain of commerce and looking for art organizations in your county and your town and your county. And these are art groups that get money from the towns, and they sponsor art exhibitions and art meetings. And that's really great because you can put your work in those shows, you'll get in, you'll get your feet wet as to what you have to do to have your work ready for hanging, how to send your work in via JPEG and how big they have to be and all that. So very important. And it's also good to find like-minded artists that are locally, not just airbrush artists, but we're artists that use the airbrush. We're really not just airbrush artists, right? So you want to meet people who are doing oils and acrylic and watercolor and colored pencil, right? Just to broaden your horizon. So how will that help? Well, because you'll be like, oh, colored pencils, I didn't know. And you see people using colored pencils, you talk to them, you might be able to use colored pencils in your painting. You might find out that colored pencils is like your forte. And so get exposed to artists in your area in art groups is really going to make a big difference for you. I think it's real art. Mike, how is it not? Hey, how you doing, Eric? Good to see you. Eric's airbrushing just been just a way for him to relax and be productive at the same time. He sold only a few things to friends who liked them, but they came over and offered to buy them. That is great. And so Eric says you have advice on how to price your artwork. Okay. Very interesting question. So, how much money you need, and that's pretty much what you charge, right? You want the work to sell. So, you're going to have artwork that you love and then you're emotionally attached to it. And that's the stuff where you're going to hold off and say stuff like $2,000 or whatever. But let's say you're doing some work and, you're not emotionally attached to it and you want to sell it and someone says, hey, I want to buy it, don't think about hourly. We're not hourly wage people when it comes to our artwork. When you're teaching, that's different. You are hourly wage when you're teaching. But when you're doing a piece of artwork and, whatever you feel comfortable, whatever you need, right? So let's say you sold a painting and you're happy with it. I mean, it's not the best painting you did, but it's really nice. And I would definitely, if you're just starting out, I wouldn't sell your work anything less than $80. That's the least from your very first start. That's how much you should start selling your work, $80. But I would say small pieces like this, I would sell it for $150. It's worth a lot more. So we're not talking about how much it's worth. It's like, do you need the money? So then you sell it, right? Then you sell it at that price. Plus you're giving someone a really great piece of artwork, and you're really giving them a lot of value. But at the end of the day, you need to pay your heat bill. So, but you do have the work that's larger. You don't let that go for that price. But the smaller pieces that you could let go, that's fine. But at the end of the day, you have to, you know, and and why not give your work away? Because it costs money. At the very least, some people have jobs and they're like, you know, it just makes me happy that they're happy. No, you, if nothing else, make it so you can buy yourself another camera lens, or, you know, make it so you can buy yourself that airbrush you wanted, or those set of paints or something like that. So you have to think of it as a business. If your business is not making money, it's not going to be a business for too long. So have some income coming in. It's a lot easier to build on something than to build on nothing, right? So think of that. Think of it, it's a lot easier to build on something. And you see now I'm just coming in and just putting some detail in these pillows here. And I'm in the light mixture, the darker color right now. And we have some darker values, and I'm just going to start hitting some of the darker values. But there will be a time when you have to raise your prices. And you'll know when it's time to raise your prices. You will. And let's see here. And Tim, we have to remember that the art we sell, we can make again. Very true, right? You don't want to hang on to it unless it's a really important piece. And you'll know when it's a super important piece to hold on. And Marshall says, what makes it worthwhile? Oh, Mike is okay, cool. So that's good. So Eric, I hope that helps. You know, sell your work, but make it worthwhile so at least you can either pay your bill with it or something. So, you know, you're really not going to, think of it this way. In the early going, you're not going to get what it's worth. You're going to get what you're willing to let it go for. I mean, for me, there are painters who have less skill that are selling their work for upwards of $30,000, $40,000, who have less skill than me, but they're not me, so they're getting that price, so that doesn't help me, and I can't worry about that. I have to worry about how am I going to pay my rent, and so that's why I would go for selling it and keeping it, right? And like you say, Mike, you can always build more, right? You can always make another one. Mr. Steve, happy Easter! Dr. Steve, it's so great to see you. How is everything? So glad Dr. Steve is a real friend of the channel, and he is a great guy, and I'm really so happy to see you. What a great surprise. And so that is so fantastic, Dr. Steve. And so how are you liking the 7D? I believe that's the camera you have, right? I'm doing okay, Mr. Steve. Thank you so much. I'm doing okay. So I feel feeling a little bit up today, so that's good, you know. So I've been getting into the photography a little more also, Steve. Oh, the 5D. Oh, Canon 5D, loving it. Oh, that is great. Is that the Mark IV, right? Canon D Mark IV? That is great. Hearing great things about it. I still have my Canon Rebel SL3. Just loving the dual pixel autofocus and the face tracking. Just learned about manual focus assist, which is really great. Spending about at least an hour a day playing with the camera. And Dr. Steve says, yes, the Mark IV. So invested in glass 11. Well, Canon has the best glass, don't they, sir? So have you ever used a light meter? Have you ever used a light meter, Dr. Steve, like the Sekonic? Those are great. And okay, so going back to selling your work, so make sure that you do sell your work, because you have to justify to your significant other, you guys, of buying airbrushes and paints and all the other things. So you have to. Oh, which one? You have the 308? I love the 308. Yes, that makes a world of difference. The light meter. So true. Are you still doing portraits? Portrait photography. That is so great. Photography and painting are so close. So that's why I recommend everyone who's a painter or an artist to get into photography. It's so important. My guest says he's not good enough to do it there on site. So on site, airbrushing on site. I could understand that. Oh, that's nice. The 308 DC, that's a good one. Yeah, I really love it, especially for flash metering. That's where it really shines. To have different zones for your fill flash and your hair light and the key light and all that fun stuff. But yes, I mean, like you, I'm so comfortable with my Canons at this point. I think I'm sticking with Canon. So how many out there actually have cameras as well? And if you do, tell me about your experiences and what you're doing with your cameras, and are they helping your airbrushing? Would love to hear that. And that would be great. So you see, I'm just doing some soft edging on the hair here. And I'm going to go back to working on these folds, right? Let's make that happen. So these folds, we don't have to go crazy. We just have to pay attention. And what we're looking for is those slight variations of it being very light and getting dark. And that's going to be a long way in getting those folds to look like folds, right? Brad has the Canons and he's excited about learning how to use them. Definitely. Definitely. And Dr. Steve, any advice on how to take your photography to the next level? And Air Todd has a Canon T3i. That's a great camera. And Eric says he used one that comes with his Samsung Note. The camera, those cameras are really good. The ones that come with your phones these days. There's a lot of reasons why you want to go with either a mirrorless or a DSLR. And the main reason, I think, is the larger sensor and the flash capability. Those two things are really the main things that why you would need that. Plus, your video is going to be a little better. I mean, the camera, the cell phone video is pretty good, but of course it's not at that level. But you can get a lot of really important things, like you can use an external mic on your cell phones now. You can have gimbals, which help for smooth. And the gimbals are real cheap. I've seen gimbals for like $50, $60 now. And that's crazy. So you can have smooth shots when you're walking or doing any kind of movie. YouTube. Remember the one that's in your hand, that's the one you start with. the camera in your hand, and that's your cell phone. And you can see how we're building up those folds, right? And Dr. Steve says the Canon T3i is a great camera, sure is. And Dr. Steve says the mirrorless have been coming a long way. Yes, but I'm also biased to seeing through that prism, right? You know, I want to see exactly what's there real time. And Steve says he's interested in playing with his speed lights much more. Fun with light, yes. Have you done backdrops yet? Like using, light modifiers such as soft boxes, beauty dishes, strip boxes, stuff like that? I've been getting into that, and that's been a lot of fun. Also, I'm practicing. I currently don't have a macro, but I've been playing with getting into product photography and working with Capture One, and that's been really great. Oh, umbrellas are great. The parabolic umbrella with the cover, with that you can do everything with, Steve. I mean, those are great. Those are fantastic. And so Steve says he has a 100 millimeter f2.8. That's a beautiful lens. Yes, that is really nice. So that's a great portrait lens. And on a full frame sensor like you have with the 5D. So that right there, that's hats off to you. That's great. Congrats. And the macro, oh, it's a macro as well. Wow. And I think that has 1:1, right? 1:1 focusing. Marshall says, sorry guys, gotta run, still at work. Marshall, always a pleasure. Hope to see you next week. Thank you so much for your great comments, And, Brad has a lot of great lenses, so that's really great. And, yeah, so highly recommend the soft boxes are really great. And the strobes work really well in the studio. Highly recommend that, Steve. Like Godox, I think it's the B10. I hear amazing things with that. Also the, the AD200 is really great, and you can actually have them out in the field. Hey, how you doing? So glad you were here. We spoke about that. Oh, yes, the bokeh is amazing, Steve, right? Oh, the 85 millimeter f1.2 is a fantastic lens. I was just reading about that last night. Really nice. You didn't miss too much. We just continue working things out there, Mr. Nameless Subscriber. So thanks for coming by. It's great to see you. So now's a chance to come in and get some real subtleties here in this fabric behind her. I'm not sure if it's a pillow or a sheet. Most likely it's a pillow. Kind of looks like a sheet though. There we go. And you can see how we just slowly developing, just like everything else. We develop it slowly, and then we're going to come in with, so now we're working with this dark mixture. Actually, we're doing tight detail. It's always better with the detail mixture. That's great. I can always send you some examples and some really great links. I have some great YouTube videos of some great portrait photographers. I'm going to send them to you, Steve. You're going to love it. They talk about the light boxes and everything. Really great. And, so I have been learning a bit about that stuff lately. And we're just going to start doing some of these little ridges here. And as you see, we zoom in and show you exactly what I'm doing so you guys can see. Let's see. There we go. Okay, let's see if we can focus. Best that we can. Right about there. Zoom in one more time so I really can get that focus. Perfect. Let me lower the, let me raise the shutter speed a little bit. There we go. Okay, and we are good to go. And now we can zoom back in. Okay, cool. And, thank you. Steve says nice detail. I appreciate that, sir. And let's see, about 1.5 hours, that's all. It's been about 1.5 hours, my friend. Pillow's coming along nicely. Also thought her thumb was one of the folds in the pillow. It's gonna come along, my friend. We just have to, and that's the thing, right? Always stick to the recipe, you know? Don't put the icing on the cake until the cake is totally cooked and cooled. And that's where we are right now. Just sticking with it, as you can see. And the highlights are coming. They're coming. And so we'll just really make sure we get this here. So let's do that 1 second rule and really see what I'm doing here. And so it's really these little midtones in here that we're going to worry about. We're not going to worry about the highlights because that's going to be done with the white pastel. Like I always say, what usually happens is that the shape is usually described by the adjacent shape more so than the actual shape itself. So we want to wait for that adjacent shape. So we don't want to prematurely go in there, right? So you see I'm just beginning that. And Nameless says, then I missed most of it. Oh, no problem. Glad you're here. But I always keep the live streams up so you can always see it later, my friend. But always great to talk with you. That's the main thing. That's what I enjoy the most, is hanging out with everybody. And as you can see, we're just setting this up. And it's tight detail, you know, it's not going to come all at once. But as long as you stick with that 1 second rule, we're going to be okay. We're going to be A-okay. There we go. And you don't want to worry too much about it. You want to do a great job, but this is a minor detail, right? So you don't sweat it too much. You just kind of do an indication of what's happening. And that should be fine. And if we go over here, that's her thumb, right? And you can see it's much more fuzzy than I have it. So let's go ahead and fuzz this up here. Let's see if I can go down a little bit more to show you. See how fuzzy that thumb is in the reference? So we have to make sure that we really fuzz this up. Okay. Super fuzzy. It's dark here. So I change my distance and that will give me a lighter value. Master distance and you'll master the airbrush. Think of the science of airbrushing, you know, think of the aerodynamics and all that. Those are the clues that I give you all. You know, that's how you master this crazy thing. And so we're doing really well. And so one of the things I've been working on with photography is that inverse square law, Steve. And that's been a lot of fun. I think the greatest thing about photography is learning about light and what light does. Photographers know about light. Painters, not so much. They do know, but they don't know it as far as the science is concerned. And I think the photographers have painters beat in that respect. And that's what I'm learning from photographers right now, is that they their knowledge of science and their applicable knowledge, right? Because they deal with it every day. So it's so very important. So you see how, little by little, that's kind of coming together, which is nice, So the inverse square law I've been really getting into, and how it can change white backdrop to black to gray. That's why you really want to get a white backdrop or a gray backdrop, because you can get anything with those. Any color you can get with them, which is really wild, right? I mean, that you can get any color with those backdrops. That's just crazy because of working with gels, flash gels. It's just fantastic. So I've been learning about that. And product photography. When I get a macro, I'm going to start doing product photography. And that's what I was talking about artists and having to diversify your income streams. And that's what I'm trying to do, just always trying to diversify the income streams. It's going to make a big difference in, your work and how much you can charge and all that great stuff, And someone says, Jimmy. Who's Jimmy? Oh, and Steve said, just watched a couple of videos by Michael Kemp about Leonardo da Vinci and his work, such as Salvador Mundi and others' works. Fascinating how he kept subjects out of focus sometimes. Yes, definitely. So true, playing with focus. And that's like, in photography, I think that's like, besides getting exposure and stuff like that and learning about light and basically what the camera does, I mean, focus is everything. How to get that focus, and I'm learning about focus and how it actually helps me with my work, how to apply focus is really great. And as I go further and further, just even with the fabric behind her, I mean, it's going to go a long way. And my knowledge of photography, although it's limited and I'm getting better and better, has really helped my work, as a painter. And of course, being a painter helps me to be a better photographer. And of course, I'm still relatively new, trying to get some people to pose for me. It's not easy. Just softening that edge there. So it's hardening the edges, softening the edges, going back and forth. Soft here, a little hard right there, a little spot, just like so. Getting those variations. Oh, I can see your chat, definitely. But I don't see anyone that says Jimmy, though. Who's Jimmy? Oh, Jimmy Stewart. A cat is better than a huge bunny. Like Jimmy. Oh, I know what you're talking about now. Yes, that big rabbit. That's so funny. And can't remember what from. That was from a movie, right? That was it Harry or something like that? Was it Harry? Oh, that's true. So sometimes that does happen, Nameless. So as you can see, still working her and bringing her together. And now we're kind of working on a supporting cast, right? Working on these folds. And let's see what's going on the other side of her head here. Okay, so we can do some folds on this side of the head, but I don't think I drew them in, so let's go ahead and draw them in. So I'm going to move her over here, and now I'm just going to go ahead and draw in some of these folds up top here. Okay. So we're going to pull this over here. Good old-fashioned drawing. Let's get our angles correct. Always do it with the drawing. Don't be a cowboy and try to draw with the airbrush. There we go. And just pull this over. Don't make stuff up. Whatever you see, put in. But if you don't see it, please don't put it in, okay? Again, you don't want to make stuff up. We're never going to be better than nature. So always stick with the 1 second rule, right guys? And Harvey, I think, was that Jimmy Stewart movie, right? So right now I'm going to come in and I'm going to start some of the pillow here, like so. And we just have to indicate those folds, right? We don't have to go crazy. And here we'll just come in and put some of the variations of the softness. And we can use our freehand shield, do a little perpendicular and not parallel, go up. Increase my distance, because when you increase your distance, here's a little tidbit of a nugget. Increase your distance and increase your beautiful gradations. So you're going to have smoother application if you're further away. When you're closer, you're going to have blotchiness. But the main takeaway is make sure that you keep your distance consistent, okay? That's super, super key. Keep your distance consistent and you won't have blotchy. If you want texture, then vary your distance. That's how you're going to master this thing. You know, just doing daggers and dagger strokes, that's not going to do it. What's going to do it is playing with your distance, playing with your pack valve. Get a good airbrush that you can adjust that, and learn about light, right? Learn what light is doing in your painting. It's going to be super important. And notice the detail that we're able to get with this airbrush. $149. And remember, it's not how much it costs, it's how much it's worth. And this airbrush, if it will become your go-to airbrush, it's worth a lot more than $149. So it's, now if you go ahead and purchase a $600 airbrush, if that's not going to be your go-to airbrush, or it's going to break and you can't fix it, then that is not worth $149. So remember, it's not how much it costs, it's how much it's worth. And I really feel that this airbrush is worth a lot, you know. And then as you see, I'm just building up these folds here. Nothing crazy. And let's go up here because there's more going on. But that's all we see up to this spot here. And we'll just come here and just sort of create a kind of a background behind this pillow here. There we go. So there she is. wherever she is. We're kind of creating recreating the photo shoot that she was at, whether it was in a bed or, you know, sitting in a chair with a pillow, it's, and now we can start molding a little bit. So we did work on the folds, which was great, and that was fantastic. Oh, yeah, I've been doing a lot more backgrounds. That's funny. It's true. Sometimes I don't do with backgrounds as much as I should, Mike. Definitely. But yeah, I've been getting into backgrounds a lot more, and we're going to come in with the white next week, and that's going to be really fantastic. I'll work on some more here, but since I'm here, let's go ahead and let's erase some hair, right? Let's make some things happen here. Put some wispy hairs here, variations of value, right? We'll get there. We'll get there slowly but surely, guys. And like I said, I don't care if there's part 10, part 50. The only thing is I want it to be done. I don't want to finish the live stream and have the work unfinished, because then it doesn't get finished. Remember, the most important thing about your work is finishing well. It's not how you start your painting, it's how you finish it. So always finish your painting. You can't go to the next step without finishing your work. That is so important. I mean, that's like the key to get to that point where you can just say, all right, I'm going to call it finished. It's not going to be 100% happy with it, but you did everything you could, and then you could safely say, okay, it's time for me to go to that next step, right? And that's what we're doing here. So now we have some really nice, beautiful wispy hairs. So let's go ahead and put some in here. Remember, to do wispy hairs, you have to be fast. Let me see if I can zoom in to show you some wispy hairs. Even though we're going to go over it with the white pastel and have to put it in, it's good to show you all how I do some of these wispy hairs. And let's raise the shutter speed. Actually, lower the shutter speed. There we go. So we get it lighter. And that's the great thing with learning about photography. It helps my YouTube videos. Helps me to know more about what the camera is doing. So okay, so we're going to do some of these wispy hairs. Look how fast I have to go, right? And you see how the way hair is, it's so thin, it will show up in the light and then it'll disappear, right? So you do go really fast and really close, and you can do some of those wispy hairs. See that? And the trick is, you don't want it to be like a wire. You want the hairs to show up and disappear and then reappear. See how it's coming up here? And then I'm going to have it reappear here and come over here like this. See that? And that's how you get those wispy hairs. So that should help. Thank you, Brad. Brad says she's coming along. That's great. And wow, so my guest says his first airbrush was huge. Wow, you were only 8 years old? That's amazing. Oh, that's so great. A green airbrush. Oh, I love that. So you see how we're doing these wispy hairs? But I'm really fast. See that? I'm being very, very fast. And that's the key, is the quickness, right? Because if you don't have fast speed, you don't have that fast speed, it's going to start looking like wire. Hair is very thin and it will disappear. Light will go through it in certain areas, and then it will reflect light in certain areas. So that's really important to understand. So when you're painting something, you have to know and be mindful of the nature of it. Is it opaque? Is it opaque? Is it transparent? What's the nature of it? Is it hard edged? Is it soft edged? Right? You learn the nature of it, and then you can paint it better. right? So that's so important. And oh, a garden hose. That's pretty funny. Oh my goodness. I guess that could be, kind of works on the same principle, doesn't it? That's funny. Okay, so I have a nice dark here. Let's repeat the dark on the other side, right? We want balance. So balance is everything, right? Not everything. Balance is important. So let's go to this side and let's kind of match up some of the dark from this side over here, right? So let's do that. So this way it's not imbalanced. We have this dark over here. See that? So we have to make sure that we have those values on both sides. A lot more busyness going on this side. Her hand, the background, so it's kind of an unbalanced composition, but that's the photo. I probably would have come into like a Photoshop or a Capture One and kind of put more detail in here. And that would have made a big difference, I felt, compositionally. And Nameless says he's seen someone create art with a pressure washer before. Kind of works on the same principle. That's so true. And Mike S says, trying to do the hairs on a dark background where it goes kind of translucent. Yeah, the opposite applies. So with dark, you have to do a light color, right? And I would not do that with the airbrush so much. I would do that with a pastel pencil or something. If you're working on wood or metal, then you could go ahead and do some nice scratching techniques. And she's coming along slowly, slowly. So we have a good 7 minutes. Dr. Steve says, amazing work. Happy Easter, Steve. Always a pleasure. Great talking with you. And I'll send you those links, all right? And thank you always for your support, my friend. Thank you, thank you. And so, great guy, Steve. He really is amazing. And let's see. So yeah, doing the hairs on a dark surface is not easy, right? It is. You got to go the other direction. So let's go ahead and see how we're just, we're moving around and working everything together, taking our time and balancing out. And remember, the light's only gonna work if we have a darker value next to it, right? So you see, now I can put in the darker values adjacent to the highlights in these frown lines. And it wasn't until I come in with these adjacent light soft values that starts to pop, right? And scratching with a razor blade, yeah, definitely, that works. Thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate that. Thank you. Happy Easter. So Palm Sunday was last Sunday. Good Friday is this Friday. Easter is Sunday. Very cool. Anyone have anything fun planned for Easter? There we go. See how we're working it together? Very slowly. And I think we're getting close. I mean, we have some work to do, but I do like a lot of the aspects of the painting, Willie, how you doing? Good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. How you been, Willie? We missed you. I missed you. So I'm so glad you're here. Happy Easter, my friend. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it, sir. So that's a nice surprise. Thank you for coming by. So great. We had Steve here, and then we, Dr. Steve Leahy. We had Mr. Willie. So it was so good to see you. So glad. And we had my guests here, which is great, and nameless subscriber Eric and Brad, and you all are so great. Patty and Colette and John Diekman, as always. Let's see. Yes, happy Easter. Yes, so, I just hope everyone has, lots of happiness in their life. And that's what I really hope for. I hope you guys and girls are happy. Because nothing really, there's no substitute for happiness. So I really wish that for you guys. Really do. And keep the faith, right? Keep the faith, everybody. Paul, happy Easter. Yes. That's so true. So I went a little crazy over there. I'm going to lighten that up. But we'll let it dry. So we'll not lighten it before it's time. Brad says, great feed. Have a great night. Stay out of the snow there, Brad. And, so nameless subscribers' plans is work. Bummer. Work is good, as long as you don't work too hard, my friend. Little by little, she's coming along. Oh, Willie's been doing stuff for his church, and it's been on Wednesdays. Oh, well, that's much more important, Willie. But, miss your comments, but that's more important. But always rest assured that I keep these on YouTube so you all can look at it the next day or during the week, which is great. So, Mike S. says, kinda, but you have to paint a light color under the dark, then scratch. Yes, definitely. And so, it's great that the live streams are kept on there for you so you can watch it over and over again, especially if you're following along, And I basically, sometimes I'll do a little bit offline, like detail that might kind of bore the heck out of you. I might do that, but basically the whole painting is basically done in front of you, and you could watch the process. And I really think it'll be a great learning tool for those who, can't afford to take my classes. But if you can take my class, please do. Email me at timothy@paintedglyphs.com or paintedglyphs@gmail.com. My mentorship program, you're going to learn everything, how to paint, how to see light, how to use the airbrush, how to use other mediums, how to paint in color. Yes, I do teach that, but it's important that we learn the basics of shape, line, contour, edges, and that's best in the beginning to learn in black and white. So that's why I always start, my students off in black and white. Going in color is a disservice to you, and if you're not ready for it. And what I do when you work with me is I get you ready for color. And that's exciting, right? To be ready for color, to see all those other things, right? Oh, you're very welcome, Willie. That's my pleasure. And, it's so great that I'm able to give back. And yes, I do speak to you all, and that is wonderful. But it's nice that there are people I don't get to speak to, and that these live streams and videos help. And help you all enjoy your airbrush, enjoy painting, enjoy the creative part of you, and that makes me happy. because that's an important part of my life. I don't know where I would be without my art. You know, it's the one constant in my life. And have a great night. Oh, it's 11:31. Take care, everybody. We did it. So we did a full 2 hours. So this is where we are. Not bad, guys. I think we did a good job. Let's see. I'll go ahead and turn that off. And I think we did okay. You know, I'm pretty happy with it. You know, it's not like I'm like ecstatic. No one's ever ecstatic about their own work, right? But we do our best. And that's what we're doing. So thanks so much for hanging out. And I will see everybody during the week. If you have any questions, IM me on Facebook. You know, message me here, comment on YouTube. We're at 3,903 subscribers. So if you're watching, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button, because I want to get to 4,000. I want to do a nice celebration here on the channel. 4,000 is not a big deal for other channels, but for me, I appreciate every one of you. Yes, Willie, see you next week. That would be amazing. So guys, happy Easter, happy Passover, and happy Ramadan. I wish you all a great rest of the week, and thank you for spending Wednesday with me. I really appreciate it. Take care.